The Ugly Duckling.
Where are you?
A present for me. Oh, not you again.
Yep, it's me again. This is a comedy with a love story about a beautiful princess who meets her Prince Charming, and they get married and live happily ever after. We've heard that story before. Now, suppose the princess is ugly, and the prince is ugly as well. And the king, he's not really in charge of his kingdom, but rather sits on his throne and looks important. Do you mind? I'm trying to tell a story here. It's the queen who rules the roost here, and nobody, I mean nobody, is to trifle with her. She's removed heads before, more than once. Rumor has it, she plays croquet with them. This story is filled with casualties as well. One poor servant loses her head, while another, you'll see. Our story begins with the king diligently working on his beauty sleep.
Never, Your Majesty, was greater need for thought than now.
That's what I was thinking. Oh, what is it?
What we might call some of the old trouble, Your Majesty.
That's what I was saying last night to the queen. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown, that's how I put it.
How profound and original thought, which may well go down to posterity.
You mean it may go down well with posterity? I hope so. Remind me to tell you sometime of another little thing I said to Her Majesty. Something about a fierce light being on the throne. Posterity would like that too. Oh, wedding.
It is the matter of Her Royal Highness's wedding.
Oh, yes.
As Your Majesty is well aware, the young Prince Simon arrives today to seek Her Royal Highness's hand in marriage. He has been traveling in distant lands and has not... Well, he has not...
You mean he hasn't heard anything?
It is a little difficult to put this delicately, Your Majesty.
Ah, do your best, and I will tell you afterwards how you got on.
Well, let me put it this way. The Prince Simon will naturally assume that Her Royal Highness has the customary, so customary as to be, in my own poor opinion, slightly monotonous, has what one might call the inevitable, so inevitable as to be, in my opinion again, slightly mechanical, will assume that she has, as I think of it, the faultily faultless, icily regular, splendidly wonderful, and so
What you're
magnificent.
trying to say in the fewest possible words is that my daughter is not beautiful.
Her beauty is certainly elusive, Your Majesty.
It is. It has eluded you. It has eluded me. It has eluded everybody who has seen her. It even eluded the court painter. His last words were, well, I tried. His successor is now painting the view of the water meadows across from the west turret. His doctor has advised him to stick with landscape. It's better for his health.
Well, it is unfortunate, Your Majesty, but there it is. And one just cannot understand how it can have occurred.
I don't think she takes after me at all. You don't detect a likeness?
Most certainly not, Your Majesty.
Good. The other Chancellor did.
I have often wondered what happened to my predecessor.
Well, now you know.
Well, looking at the bright side, although Her Royal Highness is not strictly speaking beautiful,
Not truthfully speaking beautiful.
yet she has great beauty of character.
My dear Chancellor, we're not discussing Her Royal Highness's character. We're chances of getting married. You observe there is a distinction.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Look at it from a suitor's point of view. If a girl is beautiful, it is easy to assume that she has tucked away inside her an equally beautiful face. But, equally beautiful character. But, it is impossible to assume that an unattractive girl, however elevated in character, has tucked away inside her an equally beautiful face, which is, so to speak, not very wanted, tucked away.
Quite so, Your Majesty.
This doesn't, of course, alter the fact that Princess Camilla is quite the nicest person in the kingdom.
She is indeed, Your Majesty, with the exception, I need hardly say, of Your Majesty and Her Majesty.
As an adjective for your king, the word nice is ill-chosen. As an adjective for Her Majesty, the word nice is very ill-chosen.
Ah, talking about Camellia.
As always, my dear, you're right.
Bring me some drinks.
Yes, Your Majesty.
New wine.
Yes, Your Majesty.
This fellow Simon, what's he like?
Nobody has seen him, Your Majesty.
How old is he?
5 and 20, I understand.
In 25 years, someone must have seen him.
Just a thinking thing.
What I meant to say, Your Majesty, was that no detailed report of him has reached this country, save that he has the usual personal advantages and qualities expected of a prince, and has been traveling in distant and most dangerous lands.
Ah, nothing wrong with his eyes, sunstroke, anything.
Not that I am aware of. Although, as I was venturing to say to His Majesty, Her Royal Highness's character and disposition are so outstandingly wonderful that no...
Stuff and nonsense. You remember what happened when we had the Tournament of Love last year?
I was not then myself present. I had not then the honor of, well, I was abroad and never heard the full story.
No, it was the other fool. They all rode up to Camellia to pay their homage. It was their first time they had ever seen them. The heralds blew their trumpets and announced that she would marry whichever prince was left master of the field, when all but one had been unhorsed. The trumpets were blown again, and they charged enthusiastically into the fight, and...
Todd! Started so loudly. Horses!
Don't do that.
Oh, I'm sorry, my dear.
And what happened? They all simultaneously fell off their horses and assumed a posture of defeat.
One of them was not quite so quick as the others. I was very quick. I proclaimed him the victor.
What are you waiting for? Approach.
Your ale, Your Majesty.
Ale! That's a vile drink. I specifically asked for a new wine. Off with her head! Get her out of my sight! No! Wait!
Don't worry, folks. This is a bad habit of the Queen. She frequently beheads people. It's a little hobby of hers. Sometimes she goes through 3 people a day. But don't worry. If we really beheaded every person she wished, this large kingdom would be empty. What we really do is send off the lucky servant on a getaway in the beautiful countryside, complete with her own personal cottage with all the modifications. In fact, this young girl has been beheaded 7 times. The Queen just doesn't remember. She's gotten rather good at the screaming part by now. Let me tell you, you might want to plug your ears. But, don't worry. Everything is under control.
Out of here! Out of Anyway, back to the night. At the feast betrothal held that night, the Chancellor announced that the suitor had to pass a further test. He had to give the correct answer to a riddle.
Such undoubtedly is the fact, Your Majesty.
There are times for announcing facts and times for looking at things in a broad-minded way. Please remember this, Chancellor.
Yes, Your Majesty.
I invented the riddle myself. Quite an easy one. Which was it? Which has 4 legs and barks like a dog? The answer is a dog.
You get that?
Yes, Your Majesty.
It isn't difficult.
He, however, seemed to find it so. He said an eagle. Then he said a serpent, a very high mountain with slippery sides, 2 peacocks, a moonlit night, the day after tomorrow.
Nobody could accuse him of not trying.
I did.
I should have said that nobody could fail to detect in his attitude an appearance of doggedness.
Finally, he said death. I nudged the king.
Accepting the word nudge for the moment, I rubbed my shin with one hand, tapped him on the shoulder with the other, and congratulated him on the correct answer. He disappeared under the table, and personally, I never saw him again.
His body was found in the moat next morning.
But what was he doing in the moat, Your Majesty?
Bobbing about, trying not to ask needless questions.
It all seems so strange.
What does?
That Her Royal Highness, alone of all the other princesses one has ever heard of, should lack that invariable attribute of royalty, supreme beauty.
That was your great Aunt Malkin. She came to the christening. You know what she said.
It was mysterious. Great Aunt Malcolm's besetting weakness. She came to my christening. She was 101 then, and that was 51 years ago. How old would that make her?
152, Your Majesty.
Around there, yes. She told me that when I grew up, I should have all the happiness which my wife deserved. It struck me at the time. Well, when I say at the time, I was only a week old. But it did strike me, as soon as anything could strike me, well, of that nature. Oh, work it out for yourself, Chancellor. It opens up a most interesting field of speculation. Though, naturally, I'd not like to go into it all deeply with Her Majesty.
I've never heard of anything less mysterious. She was wishing you extreme happiness.
I don't think she was wishing me anything, however.
But what, Your Majesty, did she wish Her Royal Highness?
Her other godmother, on my side, gave her the dazzling beauty in which all women in my family are famous.
Indeed, yes, Your Majesty.
And great Aunt Malkin said, what were the words?
I give you with this kiss a wedding day surprise. Where ignorance is bliss, 'tis folly to be wise. I thought the last 2 lines rather neat, but what they meant.
We can all see what it meant. She was given beauty, and where is it? Great Aunt Malkin took it away from her. The wedding day surprise is that there will never be a wedding day.
Punch. The deed is done.
Good.
Young men being what they are, my dear, it would be much more surprising if there were a wedding. How?
Hello, Papa. Oh, I say, affairs of the state? Sorry.
Oh, don't go, Camellia.
Shall I withdraw, Your Majesty?
You are aware, Camellia, Prince Simon arrives today.
He has arrived. They're just letting down the drawbridge.
Right. I must.
Papa, you know what the drawbridge is like. It takes at least half an hour to let it down.
It wants oil.
It wants to be drawbridge.
Have I Your Majesty's permission?
Yes, yes.
You've told her, of course. It's the only chance.
I was just going to, when...
Then I'd better. You can explain to the girl. I'll have her sent to you. You've told Camellia?
I was just going to, when...
Then you'd better tell her now.
My dear, are you sure?
It's the only chance left. My daughter.
Camellia, I want to talk to you seriously about marriage.
Yes, Father.
It's time that you learned some of the facts of life.
Yes, Father.
Now, the great fact about marriage is that once you get married, you live happily ever after. All our history books affirm this.
And your own experience too, Papa.
Let's confine ourselves to history for the moment.
Yes.
Following you so far, your attention seems to be wandering.
I was wondering why you needed to tell me.
Oh, just a precautionary measure, in case you happen to meet the prince or his attendant before the ceremony. In which case, you would pass yourself off as the maid.
A harmless ruse of which you will find frequent record in the history books.
Exactly. The occasion need not arise. The woman, Dulcibella! You may retire to your own apartments now, and wait for me there when we are ready for the actual ceremony. Come in, Ray. Don't be frightened. There's nothing to be frightened about. Has Her Majesty told you what you have to do?
Yes, Your Majesty.
Good. Well, let's see how well you can do it. You're sitting here, little thing. Now, imagine. I am Prince Simon. You are the beautiful Princess Camilla, whom he has never seen. is a serious moment in your life, and you'll find that a giggle will not be helpful. Go to the door. Prince Simon is announced. His Royal Highness, Prince Simon. That's me being announced. Remember what I said about giggling? You should have a faraway look upon your face. Farther away than that. No, that's too far. You're sitting there thinking beautiful thoughts in maiden meditation. Fancy free. As I remember saying to Her Majesty once, thinking of somebody else. Fancy free. But with the mouth definitely shut. That's better. I advance, the prince advances, falls upon one knee. And he says, Your Royal Highness, I shall ever be, oh no, maybe, Your Royal Highness, this is the proudest. Oh, Your Royal Highness, oh, well, the point is, he will say something. It will be complimentary. And then, what do you say?
Coo!
No, not coo.
Never had anyone do that to me before.
That also strikes the wrong note. What you want to say is, oh, Prince Simon. Say it.
Oh, Prince Simon!
No, you don't need to shout until he says what 2 or 3 times. Always consider the possibility that he isn't deaf. Softly, giving the words a dying fall, letting them play around his head like a flight of doves.
Oh, Prince Simon!
Keep in mind the idea of a flight of doves rather than a flight of panic-stricken elephants, and you will do all right. Now, when Prince Simon comes, he'll need to sit down. So, let us practice wafting. I'm standing here, Prince, and you must, as it were, waft me into the seat by your side. Not rescuing a drowning man, or throwing men across the room. Useful idea. When someone's drowning, when someone's attacking you. But at the moment, inappropriate. Prince Simon will put the necessary muscles into play. All you require to do with the gracious movement of the hand is show him the seat you require him to take. Now. That's right. Now, I think you give the prince a look. Something, let us say, halfway between the breathless adoration of a nun and the voluptuous abandonment of a woman of the world, with an undertone of regal dignity, touched, as it were, with good comradeship. Now, try that. Frankly, that didn't quite get it. There's just a little something missing. An absence, as it were, of all the qualities I asked for, and in their place, an odd resemblance to an unsatisfied fish. Let us try and get it another way. Dulcibella, have you a man of your own?
Oh, yes, he's ever so smart. He's an archer. Well, nice might say a real archer, but Obama. You know who I mean. The captain of the guard says the very next person they ever has to shoot. My egg shall take his place. Know your father and how it is with egging me, and me being made to Her Royal Highness and can't marry till he's a real soldier? That ever simple thing, and funny like, the things he says. I said to him once,
I've rather
egg?
fancy, Dulcibella, that if you think of egg all the time, say as little as possible. And when thinking of egg, see that the mouth is not more than partially open. You will do very well. Now, I'll go and show you where you ought to sit and wait for His Royal Highness. Remember, waft, not wait.
Have not been thus far successful. Imagine passing off a dumb blonde as a beautiful princess. Dulcibella gives a new meaning to the term dumb blonde. Oh, did you hear the one where Dulcibella asked which corner to sit at King Arthur's table? You're joking, right? You know, King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table? Moving right along. Well, how important is physical beauty? That's what the story is all about. The queen thinks she's beautiful. I'm not sure the king would agree with that statement, however. You see, he thinks that the ugliness his daughter received is from his wife's side. Dulcibella is very beautiful, but her beauty is only skin deep. They say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but none dare behold this poor princess. Oh, what a desperate situation Princess Camellia is in. I'm glad I'm beautiful. According to the king, beauty is all you need to win a spouse. I'll be taking applications at the end of the show. Please form a line in the back. No pushing. There's room for everyone, and plenty of me to go around. As you've noticed, we've got some odd characters in this story, and even odder ones coming in later. In fact, I think I hear somebody screaming.
Sit down, won't you?
Who are you? And how did you get here?
That's rather a long story. Couldn't we sit down? You can sit here if you like, but it isn't very comfortable.
That's the king's room.
Oh, is that what it is?
Rooms are not meant to be comfortable.
Well, I don't know if they're meant to be, but they certainly aren't.
Why were you sitting in the king's room? And who are you?
My name is Carlo.
Mine's Dulcibella.
Good. And now couldn't we sit down?
You may sit here if you like. Why are you so tired?
I've been taking very strenuous exercise.
Is that part of the long story?
It is.
Oh, I love stories.
Well, this isn't a story, really. You see, I'm a tenant on Prince Simon, who's visiting here.
Oh? I'm a tenant on Her Royal Highness.
Then you know what he's here for.
Yes.
She's very beautiful, I hear.
Did you hear that? Where have you been lately?
Traveling in distant lands with Prince Simon.
All the same, I don't understand. Is Prince Simon in the palace now? The drawbridge can't be down yet.
I don't suppose it is. And what annoys him, he's coming down.
Isn't it terrible?
I couldn't stand it anymore. I just had to get away. That's why I'm here.
But how?
Well, there's only one way, isn't there? That beech tree, and then a swing and a grab for the battlements, and don't ask me to remember at all.
You mean you came across the moat by that beech tree?
Yes, I got so tired of hanging about.
But it's terribly dangerous.
That's why I'm so exhausted. Nervous, shock.
Of course. It's different for me.
Say that again. I must have got it wrong.
It's different for me because I'm used to it. Besides, I'm so much lighter.
You don't mean that you crossed
Yes, often.
And I thought I was a brave man. At least I didn't until 5 minutes ago. And, well, now I don't again.
But you are. And I think it's wonderful to do it straight off the first time.
Well, you did.
Not the first time. When I was a child.
You mean that you crashed?
Well, you only fall into the moat.
Only? Can you swim?
Of course.
So you swam to the castle walls and yelled for help. And the guards fished you out and walloped you, and next day you tried again? Well, if that isn't...
Of course I didn't. I swam back and did it once. Well, I tried again at once. It wasn't until the third time that I actually did it. You see, I was afraid I might lose my nerve.
Afraid she might lose her nerve.
Oh, there is a way of getting over from this side, too. A tree grows out from the wall, and you jump into another tree. But I don't think it's quite so easy.
Not quite so easy? Good. You must show me.
Oh, I'd be glad to.
Perhaps it might be as well if you taught me how to swim first. I've often heard about swimming, but never...
You can't swim?
No. Don't look so surprised. There are a lot of other things which I can't do. I'll tell you about them as soon as you have a couple of years to spare.
You can't swim, and yet you crossed the moat by that beech tree. And you're ever so much heavier than I am. Now who's brave?
You're very lovely. Do you know how lovely you are?
Yes.
Why do you laugh?
Well, it's a little private joke of mine.
Well, if it comes to that, I've got a private joke, too. Let's exchange them.
Mine's very private. One other woman in the whole world knows, and that's all.
Mine's just as private. One other.
What fun. I love secrets. Well, here's mine. When I was born, one of my godmothers promised that I should be very beautiful.
How right she was.
But the other one said this: I give you, with this kiss, a wedding day surprise, where ignorance is bliss, just folly to be wise. And nobody knew what it meant. And I grew up very plain. And then, when I was about 10, I met my godmother in the forest one day. It was my 10th birthday. Oh, and nobody knows this except you.
Except us.
Except us. And she told me what her gift meant. It meant that I was beautiful, but everybody else was to go on being ignorant and think me plain until my wedding day. Because she said she didn't want me to grow up spoiled and willful and vain, as I should have done, if everyone had always been saying how beautiful I was. As the proverb says, favor is deceitful, beauty is vain, but a woman that fears the Lord, she shall be praised. And the best thing, she said, was be quite sure of yourself, but not to expect admiration from other people. So, ever since then, Amir has told me I'm beautiful. But everybody else thinks me ugly. And I get a lot of fun out of it.
Well, seeing that Dulcibella is a result, I can only say that your godmother was very, very wise.
Now tell me your secret.
Well, it isn't such a pretty one. You see, Prince Simon was going to woo Princess Camilla, and he'd heard that she was beautiful, but haughty and imperious. All you would have been if your godmother hadn't been so wise. And being a very ordinary-looking fellow himself, he feared that the princess wouldn't think much of him. So, he suggested to one of his attendants, a man named Carlo, of extremely attractive appearance, that he should pretend to be the prince. And then at the very last moment, they would switch places.
How did they do that?
The prince was going to have been married in full armor with his visor down.
Oh, what fun.
Neat, isn't it?
That's funny.
Neat, but also terribly funny. Tell me, why do you keep laughing?
Well, that's another secret.
Well, if it comes to that, I've got another one up my sleeve as well. Shall we exchange again?
All right, you go first this time.
Very well. I am not Carlo. I am Prince Simon. Ah!
What is it?
Ah! Cramp. I'm crossing the moat. I was saying that I am Prince Simon.
I know.
Well, how did you know?
Well, you told me.
But aren't you to swoon or something?
Why? History records many similar ruses.
Is that so? I've never read history. I thought it was being profoundly original.
Oh, no. Now I'll tell you my secret. For reasons very much like your own, the Princess Camellia, who's held to be extremely plain, feared to meet Prince Simon. Is the drawbridge down yet?
Do your people give a faint surprised cheer every time it lets down?
Naturally.
Then it came down about 3 minutes ago.
Then at this very moment, your man Carlo is declaring his passionate love for my maid Dulcibella. That, I think, is splendid. Dulcibella, by the way, is in love with a man she calls Egg. So I hope Carlo isn't getting carried away.
Egg? Carlo is married to a girl he calls the little woman. So Egg has nothing to fear.
By the way, I don't know if you heard, but I said, or as good as said, that I am Princess Camellia.
I wasn't surprised. History, of which I read a great deal, records many similar ruses.
Simon.
Camellia, sweetheart.
You see, you said you're very lovely before. And my godmother said that the first person to whom I would sing lovely was the man I should marry. So I knew then that you were Simon, and that I should marry you.
I knew directly when I saw you that I should marry you, even if you were Dulcibella. By the way, which of you am I marrying?
When she lifts her veil, it would be Camellia. Until then, it would be Charlotte.
Say goodbye, Camellia, until I lift your veil.
Goodbye, Simon, until you raise your visor.
This is my attendant, Carlo, Your Majesty. Here, with Your Majesty's permission, of course, preparing me for the ceremony. Of course.
Your maid, Dulcibella, is it not, my love? She will prepare her Royal Highness.
Oh, yes. Most important.
I beg pardon, Your Majesty, if I've done wrong, but I found the gentleman wandering.
No. Quite right, Hold it off.
Have I your majesty's permission to put the final test to his royal highness?
Is this safe?
Perfectly, my dear. I told him to answer any minute. And remember, talk. Yes. Proceed, Your Excellency. It is my desire that the affairs of my country be conducted in an ever-constitutional manner.
By the constitution of the country, a suitor to Her Royal Highness's hand cannot be deemed successful until he has given the correct answer to a riddle. The most recent suitor answered incorrectly, and thus lost his bride, as well as his head. I have now to ask your Royal Highness if you are prepared for the ordeal.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
I may mention as a matter possibly of some slight historical interest to our visitor, that the same riddle is not allowed to be asked on 2 successive occasions.
What's that?
This one, it is interesting to recall, was propounded exactly a century ago, and we must take it as a good and fortunate omen that it was well and truly solved.
You may want my sword directly.
The riddle is this. What is it which has 4 legs and meows like a cat?
Oh, I know this one. A dog. Bravo, bravo, yes.
According to the records to which I referred, the correct answer would seem to be not dog, but...
Your Majesty, have I permission to speak?
Yes.
Naturally, His Royal Highness could not think of justifying himself on such an occasion, but with your Majesty's most gracious permission, I think I could.
Certainly.
In our country, we have an animal to which we have given the name dog, or in the local dialect of the more mountainous districts, doggy. It sits by the fireside and mews.
Views like nobody's business.
It also has 4 legs.
One on each corner. Sorry.
In some countries, I understand this animal is called a cat. In one distant country, to which His Royal Highness and I penetrated, it is called by the very curious name of hippopotamus.
Oh, yeah. You remember that ginger-colored little hippopotamus, which used to come up on my shoulder in the evening? It would even lick my ear.
Shall never forget it, sir.
His name was Bobby.
That was a monkey. So, can you see, Your Majesty?
Thank you. I think it makes it perfectly clear. You are about to agree.
Undoubtedly, Your Majesty. And may I be the first to congratulate His Royal Highness on answering the riddle most accurately?
Yes. You may be the first to see that all is in order for immediate ceremony.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Doubtless, Prince Simon, you will now wish to retire and prepare yourself for the ceremony.
Oh, yes. Thank you, sir.
Your Majesty, have I permission to attend His Royal Highness? It is the custom of our country for princes of the royal blood to be married in full armor, a matter which requires a certain adjustment.
Certainly, certainly.
Majesty. I'm sorry. I'm going now.
Young man.
Yes?
That one. You have a quality of quickness which I admire. It's my pleasure to reward it to you in any way which commends yourself.
Your Majesty is ever gracious.
You may have anything. Whatever.
Well,
Well, we haven't all day.
well, this is a little bit difficult, to put delicately, so to speak. If there's any way of justification in the matter of which I'm about to tell, let it be known.
What do you speak of?
Spit it out.
I am not His Royal Highness's attendant. I am Prince Simon.
What?
And this is my... and this is my attendant, Carlo. There's a scheme of my own that my handsome attendant should play the part of myself, and thus win the princess's heart. And then at the last moment...
Imposters! Guards, seize them!
Oh, no, please.
Off with their heads! Off with their heads! Mother, where is your own? Papa, you must do something. I said, off with their...
No! Hold your tongue. Sit down and be quiet. My daughter is finally getting married, and no wife of mine is going to stop it. I am sick and tired of you always bossing me around. Me, the king. I yield the scepter around here, and I rule this kingdom.
I'll be in my chambers.
Now, my dear, are you sure this is what you want? This prince? After all, just between you and me, I rather think the attendant would make a better suitor. He is more attractive, don't you think? And that's all that matters, right, my dear?
Papa, you are blind to love. Beauty is not the outward appearance, but rather what is in the heart. Papa, I choose him.
Well, my dear, whatever makes you happy.
Your Majesty, I have acquired those scrolls that you asked for concerning you. Your Majesty, what is going on here?
Ah, all is in good hands. Chancellor, let us prepare a wedding. I'll explain everything. Don't worry. Just stop together.
Well, that was pointless.
Oh, wait a second. What is going on here? Am I a prince?
No, Carlo.
Oh, then I must be a princess. Am I a prince?
Carlo, no.
Oh, then, yes, then I must be a knight. A knight eating damsels in distress and slaying dragons and going for them.
Carlo!
And...
You are yourself again. Be off. Go meet... What was her name again?
Oh, the little woman.
What about eggs? Dulcibella, make yourself scarce. You and your egg will not be forgotten. Oh, thank you, Dulcibella, for everything.
Well, what did I do?
Hello. They'll be back soon.
All of them?
Yes, all of them.
Oh, and what an interesting wedding party it shall be.
Well, we don't have to be there, do we?
Well, it's our wedding. But I suppose we don't have to be there quite yet. After all, there's still some hours before the wedding.
Yes,
But we can't be late.
of course not. But if we're just a little late, they won't mind waiting.
Exactly. Well, what shall we do?
Shall I show you how to cross the moat from this side now?
Sounds adventurous. But don't forget, I can't swim.
Swim? I'll show you how to swim.
All right. But remember, if I do begin to drown, I'm ever so much heavier than you.
So it was that the prince and princess were happily married, and the queen has a newfound respect for the king, who finally took command of his kingdom. Everyone in our story has learned that physical beauty is not the most important thing, as the Bible teaches. Outward appearance is nothing without true beauty, which comes from within. Well, I think I've got the point across. I'm overdue for a meeting in the Justice Society, so I must go. Their best joker must be there. Oh, don't forget about those applications. See ya.
We'd like to take this time now to introduce the cast. Princess Camellia, played by the lovely Danielle Knisley. Played by the charming Eric Paris. Queen, played by the commanding Heather Buckley. The King, played by the noble Jonathan Carmona. Dulcibella, played by the beautiful Marissa Hauer. Carlo, played by the handsome Joseph Carmona. The servant, played by the humble Rachel Carmona. Chancellor, played by the loyal Stephen Dow. Miss Ebert. Our piano player, Joshua Paris. This is Nathaniel Dow. This is Jonathan Dow. We are the Bars.
Hold up. You forgot two things. First of all, you forgot to announce the most important person in the whole entire play. The jester, played by Benjamin Betts. Miss Carmona.
This Carmona, our director and producer.
Me and my beautiful stuff on camera. Can't take it over. I can't stay the line, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Was that on purpose? No. Not at all. They did it all the job I watched.
Stuffed on my coat. There's nothing in that coat.
Hello, Mr. Carmona.
Shake my hand the weird way again, huh?
The main performer. And the ad-libber.
Are you going to say good job for my scream like everybody else does?
Hey. How was your vacation in the country?
I like the camera.
I loved it.
How are you doing? I don't like it. I just came for the play. I don't like it. Everybody's like, oh, look, little Peter.
That's mean.
Danielle.
Thank you.
No one else can read.
Please, don't squeeze my hand.
What?
Hey, you.
Oh, your head. Oh, boy.
Oh, we made
My
everything.
hand so hard.
Good job, Marissa.
I'm going to just
You're coming with me. I will in a moment. Don't shake your hand.
No, it's take another one. Take another one.
This hurts.
It does. My cheeks hurt. And I'm on my tippy toes. I'm about to fall over. I'm on my tippy toes too. I didn't know it was so hard looking. Hey, everybody look at Charity. That's my Charity. My toes are hurting.
Not for land.
Okay, hold still now. Hold still.
Couple of them, okay?
Sorry. You're really good. Alright. Okay, yeah. Hot costume. Sorry.
Hey, Nate, turn left.
I'm sick of smiling.
How many more?
Good.
Wait a minute. I say my God.
Because you had to say it anyway.
Please come on, bud. Can I break this off? Yeah, I had to do that. I had to do it. She was Did you have any idea? What are we doing? Yeah,
That wasn't supposed to happen.
I was like, I didn't know what to do.
No, I just didn't know. I kind of, when you said that, I didn't see like you were, and I was trying to see like you were, but it was good.
You have me with my hat off. My hands off.
Seriously? I want one.
That was good, 'cause I didn't know that wasn't
It's
good.
done, Danielle.
Eric, are you guys doing anything right after? First day.
Anna gave me a ride home. I don't know if I want to read it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to take this
Like
thing
I'm
off.
just your game.
I think
Who
we're
wants to do it again?
Keep it on.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
About what?
About what we might do it in a theater.
Yeah, I heard you.
Nice, Howard.
I didn't do it, but somebody else did. I think it was Eric.
She suggested downtown over other schools.
I need to see your test so I can ask.
My kids.
Over time.
Yeah, well, a lot of us.
Yes, we have to charge admission though.
People go there just for that purpose.
I know.
Oh, I thought it was
fix this thing.
Hey, I actually got it. Like 1 second.
Oh no, that was funny. Well, I make money. Like that stuff.
Is that really a film?
There's new places.
I want a copy of this video.
My crown. Mine.
Carlo.
Here's a minute.
All right, resting.
Jimmy, quit.
And Queen Camilla.
That's like a little bit there.
See, that's why you turned that off.
You in the play when you're going to do it. Next take over there. And you guys can die.
Yeah!
Wait.
Thank you.
No, definitely not in the strip.
Here, just watch me. Good job, Danielle.
He wrote the wrong answer. I wrote the wrong answer.
I couldn't have one guard walk out there. I couldn't have one guard walk out there. I'll sell. I would. So that's why I took the place.
Hey, this is Carmona. Whoa! Like the drops to make sure they're not destroyed just in case
Eric, this thing was like seriously bent over, and when I was thinking like grab it and tried to like fix it to get it back in place. Oh, yeah, that thing was unbelievable.
They're not going to have all the flowers in here tonight because it's this play. After school day.
Turn it off.
No, I'm not
Yes.
sick yet.
See these pointy toes? They were made for a reason.
I like your shoes, Ben. Your ears look like real fun.
Jared's having fun, don't you think?
Okay, thank you.
He's a superstar!
Here, where is Stacey? Peace out.
Peace out. Don't kill me.
Hi, Mommy. Mommy, is like your flowers?
Oh, beautiful. They smell so good.
Yeah, they smell so good.
Yeah, I don't think so. They laughed. They had a good time.